Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on CSR. I am going to discuss in today's lecture of mine about the measurement and impact analysis of CSR in global perspective. This is going to be part 4 of our lectures on measurement and impact analysis of CSR in global perspective. In today's lecture of mine, I will be telling you about, I will be giving you a brief comparison about GRI, ISO 26000 and the integrated reporting which is called as IIRC. And after that we will be having a discussion on how to simplify the number of required indicators when it comes to reporting your CSR initiatives as a business enterprise. So let us start with simplifying the number of required indicators, the discussion on that, because when we talk about the CSR, I had a privilege of meeting one of the leading expert in the field of CSR, that is Michael Hopkins, and we had a discussion on this very aspect of impact analysis and reporting with Professor Michael Hopkins, and he was talking about the 3 big elephants in the CSR room, which he has reported in his popular book on CSR, that is from margins to the mainstream. And in that book he represents his discussion that GRI, ISO 26000 and International Integrated Reporting Council, that is IIRC, these 3 are the big names. These 3 are the big or you can say popular names. When I say big elephants, it is in terms of their popularity or in terms of their adaptability, that most of the organizations, they are either going through the adoption of GRI or ISO 26000 or International Integrated Reporting Council. And the question here is that are we in danger of asking too much of companies and institutions, that when we are prescribing these standards, we need to realize that these business enterprises are not there in the business of reporting their CSR initiatives. They are there for their core business, and along with that, whatever good they are doing for the society, for the people, for the economic betterment of their country or economy, they are supposed to report that. So the question here is that when we are prescribing these comprehensive guidelines for those companies, are we in danger of asking too much of companies and institutions? This is a question. Another question is, will the demand for lengthier and lengthier description requirements lead to increased reluctance to incorporate CSR? This is another question. So these are 2 important questions when we look at this entire CSR reporting initiative and impact analysis from the perspective of the organization or the business enterprise or the company, for that matter. If you ask them that what is your say on these reporting parameters, on these reporting initiatives, so these 2 pertinent questions come in front of us, that are we asking too much of companies, first question, and second question I will be repeating, that the demand for lengthier and lengthier descriptive requirement lead to increased reluctance to incorporate CSR. Is it going to make organizations reluctant in reporting or incorporating CSR in their annual report? So this is a question in front of us, and in that line only we will be having our today's discussion. So let us start with ISO 26000, which is a standard set by the International Organization for Standardization, and it defines the standard ISO 26000, which came in the year 2010. It is defined as the international standard which is developed to help any organization to effectively assess and address the social responsibilities of your business enterprise. And while doing so, when we say that is there any international standard for CSR reporting for responsible behavior, then the name of the term which comes in front of us is ISO 26000, which was implemented in the year 2010. So another reporting pattern, another reporting standard in front of us as a business organization. So it is helping us in effectively assessing and addressing social responsibilities which are relevant and significant to our vision, mission, our operations, our processes, and of course our stakeholders. And while doing so, we have to understand that what is in what manner we are going to cause impact on impact over the economic aspect or the environmental aspect or of course the social aspect. So ISO 26000 is basically a standard if we look at GRI and ISO 26000, both have been created by the committees of well-intentioned and dedicated people drawn from across the spectrum. So these two standards are in front of us, that is the Global Reporting Initiative and ISO 26000, and both are basically applicable globally, and they have been created by a committee of well-intentioned people, those who have a better understanding of the CSR initiative, of their experience in terms of economic, environmental and social aspect. Although if we talk about, if we believe the statement of Michael Hopkins says that as anyone knows, committees tend to try to satisfy everybody and sometimes end up satisfying nobody. So whenever there is a meeting of a specific committee, they try to ensure a balance. We talk about the fair degree of a dog tail, and we say that it should not be very stringent and it should not become very flexible also. So we are going to talk about the flexible rigidity somehow, that you have to rigid on certain parameters wherever it is needed, but you should be flexible enough that the organizations are interested in adopting your standards, your guidelines. So these committees, if we draw a comparison between GRI and ISO 26000, we'll understand that what is the real challenge in front of a corporate entity when they have to go for reporting their responsible behavior globally. And my dear learners, I am going to remind you again that I am telling you about the reporting the system globally, and later on we will talk about the Indian perspective, because we have certain mandate also to submit our report. We have a format also in which all corporate entities operating in India, they are reporting. So we need to, if we ask about a clear statement, I would say that we need to promote CSR. We need to promote CSR, we have to monitor and evaluate, that is crucial for us, and it is very important to inform on where our corporate institutions are leading us, where are we heading for, where are we going in this race of development, or what we call as economic development, where are we, where these corporate entities are leading us. That is what is the basic motive behind designing these CSR reporting parameters, or doing the impact analysis of these business enterprises, or to be very precise, their CSR initiatives. So we have to understand that when we talk about CSR, there are certain offshoots of CSR in the name of shared value, in the name of sustainability. But of course, they are going to tell us about the social responsibility of a corporate entity. And that is more important for us to realize, that whatever nomenclature they assign to, but it is at the end, it is basically categorized as the social responsibility of a business enterprise. But when we find that sometimes we are finding too much of complexity in monitoring and auditing process in certain parameters, in certain guidelines, and if you have a huge amount of complexity in monitoring or implementing and auditing, it means the metamorphical tail could wag the dog too hard, with unintended consequences in certain sectors. For instance, if I talk about the small and medium enterprises, or micro, small and medium enterprises, are they not supposed to be to behave responsibly in terms of the social and environmental aspect? They are supposed to, because in some parts of the world the CSR is basically regarded as a mandatory system, but there are certain parts of the world where the CSR is not mandatory. So we have, as far as India is concerned, we have certain parameters that if you are fulfilling those conditions, you have to shell out 2% of your profit, and you have to spend on those specified activities. But apart from that, in different parts of the world, or in other countries, there is no such mandate. So for them, the question comes in front of us is, what about those small and medium enterprises where the size, the number of these business enterprises are very high? So if we are going to ignore them, or if we are going to make this entire reporting process too complex, we may lose their interest in this reporting or in this behavior of acting responsibly, because unless they report, they don't realize that where are we lagging, where are we lacking, where is the laxity. So much simpler reporting guidance codes, while not diluting the perceived wisdom of more detailed standards, it is going to help us. It is going to help smaller companies in embracing this CSR and a sustainability agenda. So while implementing, while drafting those reporting guidelines, we need to understand that without diluting the perceived wisdom of more detailed standards, we have to offer much simpler reporting guidance codes, and that is basically the need of the hour. So the fact is that it is worth noting that the term CSR was not used in ISO for ISO 26000, GRI or IARC. They were talking about the responsible behavior. It was not the term CSR which was used for these standards. And here comes the name of Henricks. Henricks' name comes here, who was on the group that created the ISO definition, and he noted that because ISO 26000 is applicable to all type of business organizations, CSR was thought to be less suitable. So when they were talking about the applicability of ISO 26000, Henrik, who was on the group that created this definition, they have categorically mentioned that it is applicable to all organizations, whether you are a profit making organization or not profit making organization, and that is why the term CSR was not used there. It was not regarded as a suitable word, although it is true that there is little consistency in the use of terms such as CSR. So you will find that interchangeably these two terms are used. And for that matter, let me clarify here that the point of debate is not this, whether it is the term is CSR or it is SR or it is ISO 26000. The question here is how to incorporate, how to accommodate, how to sensitize more and more number of business organizations, regardless of their size and sector, to join their hands together and making the entire world a better place to live. And in practice, if you look, the organization of all types, if you talk about companies, whether you talk about companies, you talk about not-for-profit making organizations, that is NGOs, or even those which are working in the public sector, they refer to their approach to sustainability and sustainable development as CSR. So they are basically saying that our approach to sustainability or sustainable development is basically referred as CSR. So no matter whether you are following the corporate format or not, but as a business enterprise, in whatever business format you are into, your objective is to take care of, to behave responsibly and report transparently. That is what is the motive. The point of debate here in front of us as an academician and researcher is that we need to realize that are we pressurizing those corporate entities or business enterprises to submit a comprehensive or a detailed report of which is running into or what you call as voluminous report which is running into 300 or 400 pages. No, whether it is required or not, that we need to realize. What we require is we need the segment wise, the parameter wise reporting, and that is going to serve the purpose. So what ISO 26000 defines, it defines social responsibility as the responsibility of an organization for the impacts of its decision and activities on society and the environment through transparent and ethical behavior. And while drafting this, that your responsibility is to responsibility is to report for the impact of your decisions and activities on society, environment via transparent and ethical behavior. There are certain points which are given under those umbrella definition, and that is what is your contribution to sustainable development, including health and welfare of society. So it is basically a parameter wise reporting, that you are not supposed to give an umbrella reporting, or you are not supposed to give any ambiguous statement that see we are doing good for society, we are doing good for environment. While reporting, you have to write what is your contribution to sustainable development, including health and welfare of the society. Next point is whether you have taken into account the expectations of your stakeholders. Even taking into account the expectations of your stakeholders, it forms part of acting responsibly. Whether whatever activities you are into, it is in compliance with applicable law and consistent with international norms of behavior, whether you are behaving responsibly or not, whether your entire action is integrated throughout and it is practiced in your relationships. And this, I am not saying this is coming from ISO clause 2.18. So they have given a parameter wise reporting system, wherein you have to write on those points, on those heads, that whether you have performed positively or not. If we look at GRI, for GRI, where CSR and SR are hardly mentioned, in GRI there is no mention of CSR or social responsibility. They talk about sustainability reporting or sustainable reporting, and it is basically a practice of measuring, disclosing, and being accountable to what? To internal and external stakeholders. So they are not making any distinction between the internal and external stakeholders. They are saying that you have to first perform, and after that you have to measure, you have to disclose, and you have to be accountable for whatever you have done. Whether it is positive or negative, you have to be accountable for that. And for your performance towards the goal of sustainable development, it is based on GRI reporting principle. That is what they are prescribing. Now, coming to the third important term which comes in front of us when we talk about the global reporting system as far as CSR reporting is concerned, it is integrated reporting, and it is basically heralded as a new approach to corporate reporting, or some people call it as it is basically the ultimate term in the field of corporate reporting, and it demonstrates the linkages of your business organization between your strategy, your governance, your financial performance, your social, environmental and economic context within which you are operating. So it is basically not only reporting your social, environmental and economic context in which you are operating, but also your strategy, governance and financial performance. That is what you have to demonstrate when we talk about integrated reporting. And nowadays we are finding a lot of researchers working in the field of impact of your CSR activities on economic performance of a business enterprise, impact of CSR activities or impact of environmental initiatives on economic performance of a business enterprise, or even sometimes they talk about the governance, the impact of good governance or impact of governance and governance on financial performance of a business enterprise in integrated reporting. So by reinforcing these important connections, basically this integrated reporting is helping businesses to take more sustainable decisions. Because once you are taking a decision not in isolation, earlier business enterprises, they were taking their decisions into isolation. Suppose I am talking about the economic aspect. So when I am taking a decision of economic aspect, I am only looking at the profitability of business enterprise, our business expansion and extension. We talk about that. But when we talk about the environmental responsibility or responsibility towards environment or environmental initiatives, then we only discuss about those aspects. Wherein in integrated reporting, we have to integrate all these things, that how can we make our operations more eco-friendly, how can we make our responsibles our operations more responsible towards our stakeholders. So acting responsibly and ethically becomes the key point here when we talk about the integrated reporting. It basically enables investors and other stakeholders in understanding how this organization is really performing. So investors are very much interested in knowing nowadays that what is the core value with which this business enterprise is working, because that is basically a reflection of their entire vision, mission, goal, target, and accordingly they perform in long run also. So all three approaches what I have presented before you, that is GRI, ISO 26000 and integrated reporting, they have their they have at their heart what is there at their heart. At their heart they have the notion of stakeholders, both internal and external, which is in line with the the definition which we have presented before you while discussing about the definition of CSR. And CSR is all about a corporate body treating its stakeholders responsibly. And you find at the after the entire discussion is over, you find that this is all about this reporting initiative, or whatever work you are doing, whatever the way you are implementing your CSR initiative, your objective is to treat your stakeholders responsibly, and if you are able to do so, it means your job is done. Now, there is an argument for the orthogonality in reporting standards, and this argument comes in front of us when two performance indicators vary independently of each other, then they are considered to be orthogonal. Because this question comes in front of us as a learner, that what is the orthogonality in the reporting standard, and when we come across this, how to deal with it. So when two performance indicators vary independently of each other, I mean there is no linkage between those performance indicators, they are independent of each other, then they are regarded as they are considered to be orthogonal, they are regarded as orthogonal in nature. And the best example of it is, suppose if I give an example of carbon emissions of a plant, which is likely to be orthogonal to the number of non-executive directors. So you are talking about carbon emissions on one hand, on the other hand you are talking about number of non-executive directors your company is having as far as your KMPs are concerned. So these two are orthogonal, they are independent of each other, and number of non-executive directors have nothing to do with the carbon emission you are creating or emitting. So in your machinery, whatever carbon emission it is emitting, it is likely to be orthogonal to the number of non-executive members. So it means that selecting and reporting on only one orthogonal indicator per performance issue is likely to mean a global space of fewer indicators than full reporting would entail. So it is helping us because in place of taking the similar kind of parameters, or say suppose for one parameter, I am talking about carbon emission, and we take 10 parameters for that. There is no point, we need to report under one head that what is the performance. So we have to take only one orthogonal indicator per performance, and it is going to mean a lot of space, global space for fewer indicators, and it may reduce the size of our reporting system also, or the report also. The fundamental point is what is the fundamental point here? Our objective is to encourage all companies and organizations, irrespective of their size or their sector, to report on their social responsibility. And while doing so, they have to understand that each key stakeholder group you have to consider while preparing your report, and you have to judge their directional movement towards supporting sustainable development. And most of the researchers, they have agreed, and to be very precise, it is the opinion of Michael Hopkins that the use of orthogonal indicators would reduce the need for lengthy reports and reports running into the lengthier documents. And for this purpose, possibly if we take 20 indicators, I think that would be enough to monitor, and most of the researchers, they agree to the same. After digging the entire literature on this topic, I could find that if we take 20 indicators, that would be more than sufficient to monitor most aspects of the social, economic, environmental and sustainability reporting. So at times it is said that there is a risk when we do so, when we take all orthogonal variables, there is a risk that it may encourage the cherry picking of unrepresentative data and information. Somebody may resort to cherry picking, and they can take all good parameters where they are performing better and leave the others. However, one definitely can hope that sufficient checks and balances, if you are putting in place, and we are committed to act responsibly, then of course we can negate this possibility, and this may reduce the size of your report. So At the end, I would like to conclude with this, that we are not disputing the value of published reporting standards. All those standards are very much respected, comprehensive, well thought, discussed and deliberated. But we need to understand that while preparing these reports, we should try to draw attention to the risk of creating a two-tier reporting capability with potentially undesirable knock-on effects on overall organizational CSR performance within and between the sectors. So we need to understand that not every organization can go afford to report as per the top shot global standards. So the main point is that we quickly need a set of standards which are readily accepted in terms of being credible, robust and durable as linchpins of CSR. That is what is more important. So with this, my dear learners, I have tried to present before you the three important global standards in front of you, and I have tried to give you that how to make reporting more sensible and robust. So with this, I am ending today's lecture of mine. I hope you must have enjoyed today's lecture of mine on this impact analysis and reporting. Thank you so much.